Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Fran, I'm from Venezuela, and today we are going to be watching a video called Why Are Manual Cars Popular in the UK and Europe? I think that in Europe in general, they don't really use automatic cars, but maybe that's just my understanding of things. It's not that they're gonna like shoot you if you're driving automatic, but I think even if you want to like rent a car, I don't think they have automatic cars available. So I don't really know if they actually like sell those in Europe and in the UK. But let's find out, like, why do people still drive manual, and why is it so popular in Europe and not in America? So comment, like, subscribe, and start.
I'm in a fairly typical street in the UK. Okay. Let's take a look at what people are driving. Here is a Ford
manuals,
Fiesta,
probably.
And that is a manual. Let's take a look at this Mini across the street.
Beautiful neighborhood.
And I did look both ways, although the camera didn't, before across the road that is.
I have to say.
And that is also a manual.
It's a little creepy that
I'm not going to look at this Fiesta.
He's going around, like, just looking at people's cars. It's a little, I have to say, it's a bit creepy. Like, if I were the owner of one of these cars and this was my house, I would be like, why is that guy, like, checking out my car? Like, that's when you need tinted windows.
Because I just looked at that one. So, don't need to look at two Fiestas. Let's go and have a look at this
like Citroen
DS3 instead. Is that a manual or an automatic?
I'm surprised that everyone just like
also a manual.
They're parking
now, there
like
is a Mercedes C-Class down there. I believe that is automatic because it's the E model, which means it's going to be hybrid. I'm going to have a quick run.
Oh, hybrid.
Just to confirm.
I think that means that you can shift.
Yes.
Like if you want.
C350E. So that is going to be an automatic. But this is a much more expensive car, and it's also still fairly young, being 5 years old.
It's true, automatic cars are more expensive than manuals, because I think you pay for comfort, basically.
Yeah, 5. Do your maths, Richard. All petrol and diesel cars need gears. Some change gear automatically for you, and in others you have to change gear manually yourself. All early cars were manual, and the automatic gearbox didn't start to become...
Oh my god, that's a very old car. Like, for 1 minute I thought it was like a computer inserted car, but no, it's an actual car. It's a very old-timey car. I'm wondering, like, what year is this car, and how is it like still able, like, how are they driving this?
Widely available until the 1930s and 40s, or at least widely available in certain parts of the world. But that's 80 years ago. Why is the manual still so popular today? And in some markets, such as America, the automatic has been the norm for some time now.
Yeah, it's the norm. That's
in fact, in some states, you can actually pass your driving test in an automatic and be allowed to drive a manual. I have
to say, where I'm from, like, it's like that. You don't need to have like another test. It's just like, the test is like basically the car that you're like driving around. So it doesn't matter if it's an automatic or manual. You just like pass your driver's license. You pass your driver's test and you get your driver's license. You don't really need, it's the same thing. What it matters is like if it's like an SUV or truck or like a motorcycle. But for cars, it's just like, it's whatever. You don't need to pass another test in order to drive another car. And so if you have like an automatic and then you get, like, in the future, you get a manual, they're trusting you to have learned how to drive a manual. But it's not, it's like, it's whatever. But I do know that there's some places, that some country, I think it's probably countries and not just cities, that they don't really, in order to pass your driver's test, you actually have to drive a manual. It's not allowed to have like an automatic car. I don't think they even sell those in some cities and some countries. But again, if you don't really pass, like, if you have to actually have to like you have to drive the manual car, because there's not an option for automatic. Like, you either learn to drive manual or you just don't get your driver's license ever. So it definitely, it depends on like country, city, like it depends on so many things.
I guess this can be allowed because there's so few manuals that it's not a major safety concern.
Exactly.
But in the UK, most small, cheap cars are manual. So if people in the UK could pass in an automatic and then drive a manual, we would have somewhere between 500,000 and 700,000 new drivers each year passing in automatics with no manual experience, taking to the road for the first time in their manual. And in a country that has a population of only around 67 million, that's a lot of drivers who don't know how to control their car.
Well, but that could be... I have to say, I'm guessing like when you get a new car, whether that's, well, you know, it's always going to be like the manual. If you get a manual car, I think, you know, the government and society and other people are trusting you to know what you're doing. Like, it's not like I'm going to drive a car that I don't know how to like manage. I think we're trusting, like, have some trust in people. I think we're trusting them and trusting in ourselves to actually like drive the car that you're actually driving.
Quite chaotic. In the UK, the manual gearbox is in decline. In 2010, 20% of new cars sold were automatic. And back then, that was considered a lot. By 2018, 43% of new cars sold were automatic.
People
but
love
now,
automatic.
Nearly 60% of new cars sold in the UK are automatic.
People are coming,
so
although new drivers with the fact that it's easier,
opting to pass their driving test in a manual, over 90% of driving tests are manual, the automatic is becoming the norm.
Yeah.
So why has it taken so long for the automatic to start to take off in the UK? Well, it's quite simple. Traditional automatics with torque converters were big, heavy and inefficient.
Okay.
That does not bode well with Asian and European cars. In the UK, we primarily use Asian cars and European cars.
Okay.
However, in America, their cars are already big, heavy and inefficient. They have big 5.7 litre V8s, which they call a 350 cubic inch, with loads of torque, so having a less efficient gearbox doesn't make as much of a difference. And gasoline, as they call it over there, is much cheaper. So having the convenience of an automatic makes more sense because the negatives aren't as noticeable. However, if you were to put a traditional automatic in, say, something like a 1.1 litre Ford Fiesta.
I have to say, like, this is like, those two cars are like bumper to bumper. Like, oh my God, how come, like, come on, like, space out a little bit. Like, you're bumper to bumper.
Fiesta from the 1980s, it's going to drive like you've left the handbrake on. But in the early noughties or 2000s, something started to change. It was out with the traditional torque converter planetary gear automatic and in with the robotized manual. Yes, automatics were no longer really automatics. They were actually a manual, but with a robot changing gear for you. So that got rid of the disadvantage of the automatic being less efficient
and bigger
and heavier. They're almost the same size and same weight. The only disadvantage was the price. Normally it added around £1,000 to £1,500 to the list price of a car. And they worked well in small cars with small engines as well. Therefore, opting to have the extra convenience of the car changing gear for you was no longer such a problem. Well, it was actually convenient. And then the automatic started to become popular.
Yes.
And Japanese manufacturers started to use something called a CVT, which stands for continuously variable transmission.
No idea what that is.
They work well with big engine cars and low powered small engine cars. The only trouble is how they sound. Many people don't like the fact that it actually sounds like your engine is staying at a constant velocity whenever you put your foot hard on the gas.
I'm trying to think.
And in fact, in one of my videos, I made a mistake of calling it a constant velocity transmission just because I was so used to hearing that constant velocity
it always
of
sounds,
the engine.
I don't know.
They work well. They are efficient. If you drive gently, don't worry about it. But if you want to put your foot down, they're not very nice.
Well, but don't do that to your car. You want the car to last. I don't know if it's because old cars, I'm used to old cars, and they it's not like, obviously newer cars, they don't really make a sound, but older cars, they definitely do. Like the engine, like you're gonna hear the engine, and you're gonna constantly hear the engine if you're driving around. So again, that's like more like older cars and newer cars. But, you know, once again, it comes to comfort and price over, you know, if you want something cheaper, like, yes, but it's going to cost you. Like, If you just want to like know something super relaxing that is not constantly, the engine is not constantly like bothering you with that sound, well, yeah, but you're gonna have to pay more, basically.
So long for automatics to become popular in the UK is simply because the technology to make a lightweight, low-powered car, which is most of the cars in the UK, automatic yet still drive in a decent way, has only become widely available recently. But does that mean you shouldn't bother learning manual? You should just learn automatic because all cars are going to be automatic soon.
He's going to be like,
well,
no.
The manual's going to be here for a bit longer than you may think. They're going to be sold up until 2030 minimum, when the petrol and diesel ban comes in, and that ban essentially bans manual. However, that may be delayed.
Wait, they're going to actually like ban manual cars in the UK by 2030? Like, that seems insane. I did not know that. And that seems crazy, actually, because I think it's good to have choices. So what do you mean they're going to ban them? It's going to be forbidden.
Say the ban happens in 2030, then those cars are still going to be on the road for 10 to 20 years after that. So the manual car will still be popular for quite a while yet. Getting a manual license does give you the freedom to drive whatever car you want.
Yes.
However, of course, learning automatic is easier.
Yes.
But is there another advantage to driving a manual?
That's a beautiful car.
Or is it all just about the money? It's not just about the money.
It's about
the experience.
Yeah.
If you're brought up around manuals, learn to drive a manual, subsequently got good at driving a manual, and live somewhere where you're not constantly in nose to tail, bumper to bumper traffic.
Exactly.
You actually have access to some relatively quiet roads with a half decent speed limit. You may also enjoy driving a manual.
Yeah, that's
It's not guaranteed, of course. Not everyone does. It's not everyone's cup of tea. But there are plenty who do. And as a result, with great British country roads, the manual has stayed strong for years.
Oh my God, okay.
Even though realistically, the economy and how much people earn in this country means that automatics aren't really out of the question. It is a bit of a choice.
He's hitting the pedal to the metal for sure.
Now, I could be driving down this road in an automatic, but I know from experience I won't be having as much fun. There is a sense of joy from the achievement of achieving the perfect gear change, the downshift rev match, the heel and toe rev match, under braking.
He's having the time of his life.
And kissing the red line. Although you can do that in an automatic as well.
Yes.
Of course. Drive responsibly.
Yes, always.
And that's part of what makes driving a manual so special. I didn't break the speed limit there, but I enjoyed myself.
I hope not.
A very powerful automatic will shoot you up to very high speeds very quickly without you doing much at all.
Yes.
Which leads you wanting to enjoy the speed as opposed to the involvement. So therefore, driving a manual enthusiastically allows you to have fun whilst being safe, because there's something else to enjoy. Of course, manuals aren't for everyone. Some people just prefer automatics. I know both. Some people like auto, some people like manual.
Yes.
A lot of people like manual for the same reasons I do, and many people like automatic because, well, it's easier and they're not really enthusiastic about driving. They just want to get from A to B. Whoever you are, doesn't matter. Enjoy your car. Well, I hope this video helps you understand why manuals are still so popular in the UK.
I love the sound. Love that sound, yes.
If you think it does, please give the video a thumbs up.
Okay. So this was, hopefully, yes. I mean, it was for the reasons that I thought, mostly, because, yeah, like he said, it's, it was cheaper, it is cheaper, but again, a lot of people also prefer, manuals, for the same reasons that, people that drive manuals have told me. They prefer it because you have more control over the car. You feel like you're actually driving and you enjoy the sounds, you enjoy, actually like controlling the car. But I think it boils down to like what he said when he was like driving on that beautiful road. I think, you know, everything boils down to the fact that if you have to like drive, if you're living in a place in a really busy city, with a lot of traffic, it's not, you know, it's, you're gonna get tired fast. And it's gonna be like very tiring and very annoying, to just, you know, be constantly like downshifting. You have to like, it gets tired because you're using both your legs, and you need to like, I think it's because you need to be like probably more focused, on what you're actually doing. I don't know if it comes to a point, or maybe it doesn't, because maybe it comes to a point where you're just like so like into it when you're like in the same way with that when you're driving an automatic car, that it just comes as second nature. You're not constantly thinking about it. You're just like doing it and that's it. But at least my impression is that when you're driving a manual, you have to like constantly think about it. Like you have to like, a part of your brain always has to be like, I have to like hit the brake. No, not the brake. I have to downshift. I have to like do my leg. The car's gonna like turn off if I do this thing wrong. Because it's constantly like sputtering. And it's harder to learn to drive one of these. So at least my impression, but maybe it's not, is that you also have to be like constantly like aware of what you're doing. And when you're having an automatic car, when you're driving an automatic, you don't really like, you can just zone out because again, it's second nature. You're just like doing it. But maybe it's not. And maybe when you're driving like for so long, it just also comes as second nature and you're not constantly thinking about it. You know, you're just like doing it as like when you're braking, with an automatic car, or when you're like, accelerating, you're not thinking about it. It just like, it comes down to like, I don't know, I didn't think about it. I just know that I have to do it. So maybe I'm wrong on that front, but I will say that it's tiring, you know, like if when you're driving, like again, bumper to bumper traffic, it gets tiring, even if you're driving an automatic car. It's annoying, it's stressful, and it gets you in a bad mood. So when you're in a manual, that's double because, you know, your legs, you have both legs getting tired. So it's not, and not even that, but you're not going to be fully enjoying like the power that your car has. So if you happen to live in one of those cities, why would you ever like choose a manual car? You're not going to be able to enjoy it. You're just going to like set yourself up for disappointment, and you're just going to be like in a bad mood all the time because you're like driving from work, you're tired, you're stressed, and then you have to like, oh my god, and there's just like traffic light, and there's just like a lot of traffic, and you're not gonna be able to like, yes, I'm going to enjoy my car. Maybe like on the weekends I can like get out and, you know, have like a beautiful road, and I can like he was, because again, when he was driving on that empty road, it was kind of empty. Like he only encountered like one biker, but it was all empty. So if you are able to like, if you live in a place like that, you know, 24/7, 7 days a week, obviously you want to drive a manual because you're going to be able to enjoy those empty roads, and you're going to be able to like have fun with your car, like he said, and it's a part of our enjoyment. But if you live in a place that, you know, it's not your lifestyle, fit to your lifestyle to like get out on the weekends and enjoy your car, just get an automatic car, seriously, because it's gonna save you the trouble. But on the other hand, you know, if you really do like driving, and you enjoy the power that it gives you to like drive and feel like you're mastering that beast that is your manual car, then, you know, more power to you. But you also have to live in a place that's, you know, correct, and it has the appropriate elements for you to be able to enjoy driving that car and, you know, having all that power. Because again, you're just gonna be like, I have this awesome car, but I'm not gonna be able to use it because I'm constantly like downshifting because like there's like a million traffic lights. But yeah, I mean, this was very interesting. And yeah, a lot of people are after all of this that I said, a lot of people will tell me, I know that a lot of people are going to tell me like, no, manual is the best because you're actually like driving, you're feeling like you're driving your car. And it's like, well, okay, maybe if you don't really mind getting again into bumper to bumper traffic every single day and you still want to drive manual, well, yes, of course, like you can do that. But I was surprised by the fact that apparently they're going to ban manual cars in the UK. I do not agree with that at all. Even though he was like, it's gonna be like in 2030, and then you gotta obviously like cars, they just can't disappear overnight. So it's gonna be like another 10 to 15 years for for manual cars to actually disappear. But I wouldn't want them to disappear. I think choices are what's best. In life, why you should be able to choose. So how come they're gonna be banned? I would not like them to be forbidden. Make people choose. Like, it's fine. If people still want to drive manual, like, make them like drive manual, but it's not gonna be like forbidden. You won't be able to find a manual car. So hopefully that's not a thing. And maybe it was just like they're discussing, they're maybe like trying to pass a law that's gonna ban it. But hopefully they won't. And because again, people should be able to like have a choice. Yeah, this was really fun, very, very enlightening. And I'll see you soon. Bye.